What's up, guys? Today we're going over a no BS guide on landing brand partnerships and collaborations. Before we do this, we have to understand what a brand needs and what all of this collaboration, sponsorship, partnership stuff is all about in the creative world. This is going to inform how we act within the partnership itself. So as a general rule, brands have like 2 or 3 reasons for why they do brand sponsorships. The first is they want to be able to repurpose for marketing reasons any creative that's given to them. The second one is that they want to advance their marketing agenda. And the third really is kind of both simultaneously, so for the first and second category. But ultimately, the aim of a sponsorship or collaboration is going to inform the parameters or rules that we get to work within. So it's super important to understand those things. First and foremost, the creative sponsorship. A company that is seeking creative to use for marketing purposes, they want to know that your ability to photograph their location, product, or service is absolutely excellent. Okay, these companies rely on skill, and so your resume, your CV, your portfolio has to reflect that in both commercial and lifestyle imagery. Both of these things are needed to demonstrate and qualify you as a potential creative for their roster. They like to make sure that the creator is generating content that lines up with their brand image or their branding, because remember, they want to use this later and repurpose it and as their own. And the second type of company that you can work for is what I call the piggybacker. So these brands, they want your followers to spend their hard-earned money on their product. You are the medium that they're going to use to make money. For this, the quality is not in the pixel. It's not in your CV. It's not in your resume per se. It's in your voice as a creative. So your ability to weave a story and seamlessly integrate their product, service, or brand into your lifestyle is what makes you credible to this company. And credibility plus value is what sells for them. These brands are a good bit more hands-off because they don't want to get too involved in the process and infringe on your story and your voice, but they're a little bit outside the spectrum of the first set, okay? So they want your voice to shine through, they want your personality to shine through, so they usually leave it to you to kind of create the story, the context, and stuff like that. So you're effectively going to place their product for them and tell a story around it. Now, the third company is what I call the greedy ones. I don't say that in a derogatory context, but they want your talent and your voice, your pixels, your ability to create something incredible, but also the story behind it and how it integrates into your life. They want to use your content and they want you to be their spokesperson. So remember how I said there's no BS? This is a no BS guide. All right, so now we're out of the information stage. This is where that kicks in. So company 1, they need a high quality product or lifestyle resume. So it's commercial product and commercial lifestyle resume. You need to make sure that before you reach out to them, you can effectively guarantee that you'll be able to maintain and produce a high quality of product that lines up with their current branding and their budget. This CV, this resume, this portfolio should ideally contain similar brands or brands that run adjacent to theirs. So, for example, if you want to photograph content for Columbia Sportswear, go up like one hierarchical element of whatever it is you want to photograph and consider all of the other spokes on that wheel that you could work within. So think about it like a series of clicks on a website. So you go to the main menu, right, on a website, you select the product, apparel, outdoors, jackets, maybe it breaks it down further, winter jackets, all right? So say you want to produce their winter jackets specifically, Columbia's winter jackets. Go up one hierarchical element, so jackets, and then go find a bunch of styles of outerwear that you can shoot that are similar. You could effectively even go up 2 places in the hierarchy to outdoor apparel like shoes, hats, backpack, anything like that. Brands and product shoots that show you that you understand the concept, you understand the space and the brand that you're essentially aiming for. Then you're going to want to go and research the company. So you look at their initiatives, look at their trends, look at what they typically do as far as creative is concerned, and then look at their last year's earnings. Okay, and this is important because they'll generally spend 2 to 5% of their annual revenue on marketing as a whole. That's kind of the safe area for them. So figure out what their overall marketing budget's going to be based on that, and then take maybe anywhere from 0.5% to 5%, depending on how good you are, and see if you can lock in that number as your budget for this particular shoot. So Something to keep in mind when considering the 2 to 5% of their total revenue being their marketing budget, that's going to depend on how big the company is too. So the bigger the company, the higher the percentage of their revenue is going to be allocated to marketing. I recommend you go anywhere from like a 0.5% to like 5% of that number as your budget for this particular shoot. Now, the bigger the brand, the smaller the percentage you should go. So there's an inverse relationship right there. I recommend going to the lower end because you're still going to have a really, really healthy budget to work with if you're only aiming for 0.5% or 1% of their marketing budget. Because you want to think like in terms of like Coca-Cola, they have a massive marketing budget and you're asking for 1% of their entire marketing budget. The reality is if you're somebody in the position where you are still learning this, your value, your work is probably not 1% of what they're looking to spend the entire year. So something to keep in mind as you consider those numbers. Now, if it's in the second group, you want to pitch your voice and your metrics because that's what these people are going to be interested in if they're looking for you as like an influencer. This is where Press Kit comes in really clutch. But with this kind of thing, you are going to this kind of thing. You're going to be making some level of spoken or unspoken guarantee that by repping their brand, their product, their clothing, their service, you are going to bring in sales. You're selling yourself as an extension of their brand, and they're aligning themselves with your ability to create revenue for them. Now, if this is going to be successful, you're going to need to know some analytics, and you're going to need to be able to speak their language and speak to the preferences of your audience, how you can make the brand money, and if you're going to be able to offer and guarantee a certain conversion rate. So if you can prove that you know your audience by explaining the how and the why behind your numbers, then you're going to look very credible to these companies. Now, brands love a sure thing, so be a sure thing to them. Okay, so how do we lock these brands down? Well, for the first one, the long game is the best game. Okay, so for brands that don't want you as an influencer, they want you as a photographer, the long game is the best game. And we're going to do the 50-50 approach, okay? So it's 50% passive, and that's the first half, and then the second 50% is active. So for the passive work, it's all going to be spec work, okay? So you need to lock in that adjacent brand work, clean up that CV, and really start interacting with the brand. Follow the company on all relevant platforms. Yes, all of them. Don't be lazy about it. Check to see when they post. Is there a pattern to their posting? What type of content are they producing? Wait for them to post and then become one of their regulars. So like, comment, share, all that fun stuff. Now there's a reason for this, okay? It's not just to make them think that you care, although you should kind of to some degree care about their brand because then your visions will be aligned. But there's something called the rule of sevens in marketing, okay? And someone needs to see your name, brand, or product, whatever, approximately 7 times before they develop a subconscious comfort with an interest around that thing. Assuming they don't see your interactions more than 10% of the time, you'll need to interact like 70 times with these companies before they begin to recognize your name. That's the passive part. Now, I know it's really not all that passive, but it's not like an active pitch, okay? Now we get to that part, the active part. Then and only then are you going to send them an email. You're going to be well-spoken, and you're going to prove to them that you understand their business model, their branding, their pain points, and you're going to prescribe your own brand of creative. So what you can produce for them, that's going to relieve those pain points. Talking the details over a couple of back and forth mood boards, treatments, and contracts at that point. Not always necessarily in that order, but it's really kind of is that simple. And then, deliver on those contracts. Now, if the brand that you're trying to work with is in the second group, you're going to need to pitch a wider context to them of what you wish to accomplish, why your context and your audience fit their brand, and you're going to need to convey some sort of level of credibility that comes from your knowledge and experience on what is effectively sales via storytelling. What works best for me has always been to lay out a full treatment after they express interest in you. I do all the heavy lifting for them. So I will crunch the numbers, and essentially all I need to do is for them to sign the contract and swipe the card, figuratively. So I will give them the season, the month, the day, the location, theme, context, problem, pain point, and the solution that only I can solve via a predetermined amount of deliverables. I'll provide metrics to back everything up, and on the final delivery date, they get all the deliverables. Once they realize that you understand their budget, their brand, and they like your work and story, they'll probably sign and swipe. Just remember that no matter what brand it is, your goal is to position yourself in a place of authority and position yourself as valuable. Okay, so if you can do that effectively, you can land pretty much whatever brand you want. If you got something out of this, look, I'd love it if you'd smash the like button and subscribe. But more importantly, send this to somebody who you know could benefit. I'm sure you know somebody. Anyways, I'll see you around. Peace. Oh gosh, I hate getting in front of the camera. Ooh, that's good. Wild turkey. What is on the bone? That's good stuff. Master Jimmy Russell Distiller. What a name. What a normie name. Jimmy Russell. Hey guys, I'm Jimmy Russell. We bottle at 101 proof, and only once it reaches its full complex flavor of caramel, vanilla, toffee, and spice. Wait. Oh, there was nothing after that. Oh, man. Bless. This one's actually better cold. Weird. All right. Oh, snap, that was recording. Hello.